Everyone, so welcome back to the channel. Thank you all for being here. If you are new, as always, hit that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and please leave some comments down below. This video today is going to be slightly different in the sense that, oh man, I just hit my cam. So this video is going to be slightly different. It's going to be more of like an interview format. I get loads of questions about how did I get into the industry, why, who's my hair hero, how did I become a platform artist. So it's all going to be answered today, but I'm going to be doing it with one of my good mates. He is launching a podcast very, very soon. He's going to be bringing it to you very soon. He's going to tell us all about it. I'm going to bring him in. It's Jason Blythe. Let's bring him in and he'll tell us all about his podcast.
Hello.
Hello, mate.
How you doing?
All right, you?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all.
Good,
Had
good.
2 days of sun, so yeah.
Yeah, and now we haven't got any.
No, and snow Monday apparently. So
yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
What
so
do you want to know? You want to know about me before I know about you?
Yeah. So I just gave a little intro into. I mean, just below you gives it away what it's called. But mate, tell us about it because I don't know much about it either, to be honest. I know you've been doing it, so just tell us about it and yeah.
I think the idea came around more after lockdown. Everyone was shutting doors. Nobody could see anybody. And I think that made me want to go and see people that I couldn't see that live in the country or not even in the country. And that's when I thought, well, some of these people I haven't seen for 5 years anyway. So I didn't have an excuse before lockdown. So I just wanted something I couldn't have.
Yeah.
So then I thought, well, I love podcasts. I love listening to them. I listen to them every night. In bed or driving or anywhere. So I just thought, well, it's a good chance to ring up people, catch up and talk about how we met, funny stories that I've got that we both they've forgotten about, funny stories that they've got that I've forgotten about.
Yeah.
And yeah, just reminiscing really on how we met and what got us to where we are now. And that was the main thing of it. So yeah, they last normally about an hour. Some of them were 2 hours long.
Really?
Yeah, just I try to aim for an hour, but then when the conversation's flowing, it's you don't just want to stop talking because you just forget you're actually recording. So yeah, then we do a couple of questions at the end. Each guest leaves a question for the next guest.
Nice.
So yeah, that rolls on quite nicely. Because sometimes there's big gaps as well. Some of the people I haven't seen for 5-6 years, and we're just chatting, and some people I see every day, so we've got loads to chat about. So yeah, that's just the main gist of it. I'll be launching it hopefully maybe May time when I've got a few episodes under my belt, because obviously I'll be starting to cut again hopefully in a couple of weeks, so probably not as much time for recording podcasts, but then only takes an hour and a half. So
tell everybody what you mean by you'll be cutting in a couple of weeks.
So yeah, I am a barber. Got a shop called Chop and Brew, which is underneath your salon in the basement. So that opened in November. So it's only really been open for 5 weeks because of everything that's been going on. Even though it feels like a year since, I think it's been over a year since we came up with a name. And so it feels like a long time, but yeah, only 5 weeks of trading.
I know.
But it's all right. It gave so much time to develop it more than I would have if I just opened and was just continuously cutting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a barber's and a coffee shop. So I don't know if you could tell by the name, Chop and Brew.
Yeah.
But yeah, exciting stuff for that. Really.
Cool.
Can't wait to get back at it.
Yeah, man. And to be honest, like if it wasn't for COVID, we'd probably be doing this in the same room. Whereas you're at your house, I'm at my house, keeping it all COVID safe. So yeah. Yeah,
definitely. It's exciting though, because you get to these. We probably wouldn't have done these sort of stuff if you had just experiments of other ways of doing stuff rather than in the same room, which is obviously good. But we're so lucky to have the technology without sounding too much like a granddad that we can do this sort of stuff.
Yeah. No, I know.
Lockdown in the 90s would have been awful.
Yeah, like what? 6 hours a snake.
Yeah.
It would have been awful.
You wouldn't need to charge your phone though. That's the only thing. You play Snake, you wouldn't need to charge it.
Well, yeah, but you'd have been coming to the end of lockdown and think, oh, God, I've got to charge it. I've got work.
Wind it back a little bit. What got you into the hair industry? What sort of inspired you to start that? Really taking it back.
Yeah. So what got me started in the hair industry? I mean, I started quite late. I started at 21. After going to school, GCSE, A-level, took a year out, went to university, did creative design with marketing. I thought, I've never been creative in my life at all, really. I was a footballer. That was like where I thought I was heading, and got some really bad injuries. I did design at school, but I was dreadful at it. And I wanted to become a merchandiser. I loved making stuff look good. That's what I felt. Yeah. I loved making stuff look good. And I thought, well, merchandising. I walked past H&M window one day and I seen this girl dressing the mannequins and dressing the window. I thought, that's so cool. Like giving a brief and then really making it come alive in a shop window to sell something. I just thought that was really cool. So that got me into university. I did creative design with marketing. I had a year of like law in there about contract law and things surrounding that for when you go into that industry. I had history of art for a year. I did, and then I did only did 2 years of my degree, but I did the third year would have been my dissertation. And yeah, I'm a dropout, a beauty school dropout. Beauty school dropout. Not a beauty school, but it weren't for me. University just wasn't for me. And the light bulb moment that I realized was when my tutor came up to me and he gave me a brief for Brylcreem. And we'd had loads of briefs for our work previous. And we were given like 4 months, 3 months, 6 months to complete it. And he gave me this brief for Brylcreem. And instantly when he gave me it, I was like, I know exactly what I'm doing. And I just literally got on my computer. I've always been a bit of a nerd with computers, real Photoshop. I mean, Photoshop wasn't even around then. I was using this thing called Live Pics. Oh, Photoshop was around. I just didn't have it. I don't think I could afford it. I think it was like hundreds of pounds. So I was using this free software called Live Pics, where you could pick an image and sort of transfer it onto something else. So David Beckham was like poster boy of football. The World Cup was happening. I think it was World Cup or Euros maybe. Actually, A.D. Phelan did his hair, the mohawk.
Yeah, I remember that.
World Cup. And I got that image of David's hair. I'm calling him David as if I know him.
Shout out to David.
And I put it on a baby. I got a baby off of Google, put it, and it was in a crib, a cot. And it was like, it had a hand sort of as if it was grabbing something, and the other hand was on the side of the cot. And I put David Beckham's mohawk on the baby, and in this hand that was going to grab something, I put the Brylcreem gel. And the brief was to make Brylcreem appeal to a different audience as such. So my tagline was "Start 'em young."
Yeah.
It was aimed at adults with young kids who maybe weren't, I don't know, investing enough in their appearance. But I was like, right, you've got these kids that are using Brylcreem because they look up to Beckham. You've got the older market, which is using the old school Brylcreem, which was like sort of Dax Wax sort of esque. There was this market in the middle that, doing market research, weren't using Brylcreem. So I thought, right, I'm going to hit that, but hit them emotionally rather than physically. It would be targeting their kids. And I did that within an hour. He gave me I had 6 months on this brief, and I got my laptop and I was like, and I took it up to him and I said, there you go. And he's like, what's this? I said, well, that's it's my piece. He's like, you got 6 months. I said, yeah, no, but like, that's it. That's it. That's my look. That's not my look. My look is hair, but that's my piece, my poster or whatever it was. And he was like, go away and work on it. And at that point, I realized that what I needed was a brief there and then, a few minutes to sort of interpret it and then deliver. And that's why with hairdressing, it really appealed to me at that moment in time, because I understood when I went for a haircut, I gave the hairdresser or barber minutes to be like, right, I want this, this, and this, and they did it.
Yeah.
And that's when I really thought, right, I'm gonna leave university.
Beauty school dropout.
I'm gonna go into hair. And my parents were like, my mum was just really supportive. She was like, well, Paul, they both said, like, this is your last chance. If you don't do this, you're going to get a job somewhere. No matter what it is, you're going to get a job. But my mum was like, yeah, okay. My dad was a bit like, a hairdresser? What do you want to be a hairdresser for? I was like, well, I don't know. I think I'll be good at it. And for a few years, like for the time I was doing it, I was working with him as an engineer, network engineer, and I was installing network infrastructures into schools, into office blocks and that.
What is my passion? I will say hardware.
And if I couldn't do something, he'd always refer to me, God, you're such a hairdresser. Even though I wasn't. I was training to be a hairdresser, but if I couldn't lift the roof tile, it'd be like, oh, God, you're such a hairdresser. Let me do it. And like now, me and my dad are business partners. We work together. He does all the business side, looks after all that. He does all the salons up, and I do the hair, the marketing, and everything like that. But one more thing I'll touch on with that Brill Cream article was when I'd finally qualified as a hairdresser in 2009, I was lucky enough to be selected to go on a L'Oreal Matrix Colour Mastery, like a colour degree course. You had to have 7 years minimum experience. But my boss at the time seen something in me and said, oh, I want you to go on it. And the day I turned up and we went all around the table and everyone was like, right, introduce yourself. And it was like, hi, I'm so-and-so, 20 years experience. Hi, I'm so-and-so, 30 years. Hi, I'm so-and-so, 15 years. It was getting closer and closer to me. I had 6 months experience in the industry and it come around and was like, hey, I'm Paul. I've got 6 months experience. And then they actually said months. Like they thought I meant years. I was like, no, I literally qualified like 6 months ago. And they're like, right. And then it's all calmed down and that. And they took me to one side and they said, you do know this is for stylists with minimum of 7 years. I said, yeah, I know. My boss put me on it and they said, who's your boss? And they were like, oh yeah, we know him. He was part of the artistic team for them at the time. So they were like, oh, no worries. If he thinks you could be on here, then just do it. And one of the days was a inspiration day with Hooker and Young. And they're two big hairdressers. They're now looking after the Fame team. And they were doing an inspiration day. And I remember they were launching and so excited about showing us their new advertising campaign. And coming from an advertising marketing background from university, I was like quite buzzing for it.
Yeah. I
was like, oh, decent. Like, what are they thinking? And they put it up and it was babies with adult hair.
No.
Yeah. And I was just like, and I'd done this sort of like 3 years previous at university. And I was like, mouth open, like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. And they said, what do you think? And everyone was like, oh, it's so good. And I was like, that's amazing. I put my hand up. I said, I actually did this like 3 years ago at university. And they were like, what do you mean? What do you mean you did this 3 years ago? I said, oh, I did this. Like I put David Beckham's hair on a baby for a Brill Cream advert. And they said, well, can you prove it? I was like, well, I'll try. And at that time, I had a Sony Ericsson phone and I took a picture of it at university on this phone. So it was really pixelated, but I took it and showed the, not Hooker and Young, but the people who were running the course. I said, look, that's what I did 3 years ago at university. And they were like, oh, fair play. But that's what made me realize as well, like sort of how my mind worked.
Yeah.
That when I was doing it, I mean, when I did it and showed my tutor at university, he was like, sort of like, what the hell is that? Why have you put David Beckham's hair on a baby? I said, because it's an emotional level, but it's affecting a bigger sort of audience. And he didn't get it. And then when I seen it up on the screen of these big hairdressers doing it, I was like, oh, mate, that's unbelievable. But that's my sort of story as to how I got into the industry. And who inspired me was Lee Stafford.
So you sort of saw the idea of having 6 months to work on something is a bit too much, and then you did it in what you call consultation time of the minutes to decide, and then actually delivering it perfectly, because you could have worked on that baby project for 6 months and just made it worse, and or you could have done it, but when you've got the idea and you know what you're going to do, you don't need 6 months to do it, do you?
No, it just come to me. It like literally. Oh, David Beckham was the biggest hair icon of the moment. He was ambassador for Brill Cream. To me, it was quite straightforward. It was like when someone comes into a salon, like, and say, I want like a balayage. I want it to look like this certain celebrity. Okay, cool. And then you just do it. You deliver it.
But you're part. You mentioned obviously Lee Stafford as well. You're as far as I'm aware, you're part of